Hello again and welcome back. The right brand name has the potential of becoming one of the most valuable and unique components of your business. But it's not just something that looks and sounds cool, and a name shouldn't be chosen based on the personal preferences of the owners, leaders, and stakeholders within the organization. Your brand name will be one of the first connection points to capturing the attention of your audience, so it needs to effectively communicate something positive and valuable to the consumer. Here are just a few questions to consider when naming your brand. Is the name catchy and easy to remember? Does it sound good and is it easy to pronounce? Does it look great in a logo, email subject line, and on a website header? Is there an available URL? Is the name timeless and allows for future growth? Can the name be protected? And does it create a positive emotions within your customers? As you can see, there are several things to consider. Deciding on your name may be one of the most difficult tasks in developing your brand. It will require a lot of time, commitment, research, and the dedication of everyone on your team. Let's begin by exploring some of the qualities that all great brand names have in common. There's no magic formula or foolproof approach, but there are a few traits of successful brand names that you should follow. These 6 traits will make your brand name memorable for the consumers and easier to use in marketing campaigns. Number 1, it's meaningful. Although not always necessary, your name should somehow communicate what your brand does. It should create a positive emotional connection with your audience, it should support the brand values, and it should portray the image that your business wants to present. Number 2, it's distinctive. Your name should be unique, memorable, and different from the competition. Number 3, it's accessible. People should be able to easily understand, read, pronounce, and spell your name. Number 4, it's protectable. You should be able to trademark and own your brand name. There should also be a domain name available. Number 5, it's scalable. Be sure to choose a name that will grow with your business and can adapt and remain relevant for different products and brand extensions. And number 6, it's visual. Test out your name option in design mockups. Make sure that it looks nice and translates well in logos, icons, web applications, and any other design formats. Now that you know some of the qualities that create an effective brand name, let's take a look at the types of brand names. Here are 7 popular brand name types to consider to see which may fit best within your business. Number 1, descriptive names. These names are very straightforward and basically convey what the brand does or the products or services that are provided. These are functional names, but are typically not very exciting and don't leave much room for creativity and future expansion. The benefits of descriptive names is that they clearly communicate the intent of the brand. However, the disadvantages of this type of name is that as a brand grows, it may be difficult to expand and diversify beyond their literal descriptive name. Examples of descriptive brand names include the Weather Channel, Hotels.com, Bank of America, General Motors, and Ancestry.com. Number 2, metaphorical names. The opposite of a highly descriptive name is a metaphorical name. These types of names are evocative, creative, and unique. They leave room for interpretation and enable the brand to emphasize a story that is more engaging than just their products or services. One of the benefits of choosing a metaphorical name is that they are usually easy to trademark. However, since the name is not descriptive and obvious, you will need to rely heavily on the brand story and marketing to grow your brand. Examples of metaphorical brand names include Apple, Amazon, Nike, Tesla, Virgin. Number 3, lexical names. If a brand is feeling especially clever but not corny, they can create a lexical name for your brand. Lexical names represent a play on words. They either alter the spelling of the words to create something unique and memorable, or they combine 2 words to form a single word name. Although these names can be fun, be careful not to play off of puns that could be interpreted as unprofessional and actually repel your audience. Examples of lexical brand names include Flickr, Tumblr, Dunkin' Donuts, Crazy Glue, and FedEx. Number 4, acronym names. An acronym is an abbreviation formed from the initial letters of other words and pronounced as a word. This type of name has been successful for some brands. However, in my opinion, the difficulties associated with an acronym name may outweigh the benefits. For example, acronyms are difficult for the consumers to learn and remember. They also lack any meaning or emotion. And as you've already learned, the success of your brand relies heavily on the connection it makes with the consumer. With that said, here are some examples of brands who have found great success using acronym names: IBM, UPS, BMW, MTV, and GE. Number 5, founder names. Some of the most successful and incredible brands in the world were named after their founders. These names are usually easy to trademark and protect. But remember that a brand named after a founder will always be directly connected to that human and their actions, both positive and negative. Example of founder brand names include Ford, Ben & Jerry's, Disney, Ralph Lauren, and Calvin Klein. Number 6, geographical names. Perhaps your brand wants to connect to a location that it was started in. Geographical names will always instill the brand with whatever culture and historical associations the customer perceives of that region. Once again, both positive and negative. Even though your brand may be proud of your roots and want to show their appreciation to the location that helped you succeed, naming or renaming a brand after its home may have its limitations when attempting to expand beyond that region. Examples of geographical brand names include California Pizza Kitchen, New York Life, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Florida's Natural, and American Airlines. Number 7, invented names. If all else fails, you can just make up a name. Invented names are purely fabricated. They have no connection to the brand or the products and services that the company offers. An invented name is usually easy to trademark, and a domain name will most likely be available. This type of name may seem like a simpler solution to the other alternatives, but they are not as easy to conjure up as you might think. You have to consider how it's spoken, its cadence, how it looks when written, what it may mean in other cultures, and if there are any negative connotations with how it sounds. But if done right, invented names can be very powerful and allow a brand to be flexible and adapt in the future. Examples of invented brand names are Google, Exxon, Verizon, Adidas, and Pixar. As you can see, each name type has its own pros and cons, and some will always be more effective than others. Whatever type of name a brand decides on, it's important to define expectations and to your entire team prior to beginning the naming process. Unless you are a startup business, you most likely already have an established name. However, there may come a time when you realize that it's in your best interest to rename your business. Perhaps you weren't aware of how critical your brand name would be in the success and growth of your business. Be sure to consider these questions. Does the current name hold up? Does it still represent your brand? Does it attract the right customers? Does it look and sound good? And does it allow for growth? It's okay if you answer no to any of these questions. Renaming can be an exciting and rewarding endeavor because it can open up an entire new world of possibilities for your business. But before you make any rash decisions and completely throw out your current name and start over, let's assess the situation. Here are 5 reasons why your business may want to consider a rename. Number 1, you've outgrown your name. Although a name change will take a significant amount of time and effort, if you have outgrown your name, it's usually an indication that you are doing something right. When you started your business, your name may have been the perfect fit. It described what you did, it aligned with your values, and it connected with your audience. However, now that you have grown, perhaps your current name is outdated and no longer reflects the positive experiences that you provide for your customers. Number 2, your name doesn't stand out. Has your business gotten lost in the crowded marketplace? Does your name look and sound just like every other competitor in the industry? What may have initially been a unique and memorable name is now just another generic name on the shelf. If your brand name no longer attracts, inspires, and engages with your customers, then it may be time for a name change. Number 3, you are being legally forced to. This is a tough one. When choosing possible names during your brainstorming sessions, one of the first steps is to determine if the name or similarities to the name are already being used. Be sure to check all trademarks, copyrights, social media, competitors, and URLs. If you fail to complete this critical step in the beginning, then you may not have a choice in changing your name later. Number 4, your brand is experiencing a public relations conflict. Sometimes world events or the actions of others that are completely out of your control will force your business to make a quick and necessary change. Perhaps your chosen brand name has negative connotations in another culture, or maybe your name is similar to the name of a high-profile individual who has fallen from grace. Whatever the situation, negativity in the public eye may require a name change. Number 5, your brand has expanded beyond its geographical name. If your business name is based on a geographical location, you may have expanded beyond that initial location. Maybe the regional name that worked so well years ago when you started no longer represents the success and growth of your business. Some brands like California Pizza Kitchen and American Airlines have been able to expand beyond their original location and keep their name. Other businesses may be able to as well, but be sure to assess both the positives and negatives with a name change. The last thing you want to do is cause confusion and create a disconnect with your current audience. Well, there you have it. I've provided you with all the information that you need to begin your brand naming process. Now it's time to get to work. To help you structure and organize the entire process, here is a 7-step process that you should follow to either create a new name or rename your brand. Step number 1, articulate. Before you begin choosing names, you need to remember how you defined your brand foundation earlier. Go back and review your brand purpose, your brand vision, your brand mission, and your brand values. Then be sure that they are articulated in your name choices. Step number 2, differentiate. Carving out a spot in the marketplace relies heavily on how your brand differentiates from the competition. Understanding what makes your business unique is a critical component in finding your name. Remember, you're looking for a great name that represents your brand, not just a good name. So be sure to look at all the names of the competitors and choose a name that makes your brand stand out. Step number 3, brainstorm. This is the fun part. Gather up your team and start throwing out some ideas. This should be a free, open, and a creative environment. Remember, in this process, there are no bad ideas. However, you should put some criteria in place to keep the brainstorming sessions on track. Be sure that your team is suggesting names based on your brand's purpose, vision, mission, and values. Always keep your audience in mind. What do you want your customers to think and feel when they use your products and services? Aim to come up with about 15 to 20 name ideas. Step number 4, vet. Next is the most disappointing and frustrating part of the brainstorming name ideas. Just when you think you have found a name that describes your brands perfectly, connects with your audience, and represents your business, you do a quick Google or trademark search and discover that it has already been taken. But it's always better to find this out now rather than later. So be sure that with every name idea that you come up with, you do a simple Google search, a search of the United States Patent and Trademark Office's database, as well as social media sites. Step number 5, refinement. Hopefully after the vetting stage, you still have about 10 to 15 names to choose from. Now it's time to trim the fat by further analyzing each name. Once again, review your brand purpose, vision, mission, and values to confirm that each of these names supports them. Which names connect best with the needs of your customers? How does the name sound when spoken? Will it look good on a business card and a website? Try to narrow your list down to your top 5 names. Step number 6, testing. Let's see how all of these final names actually look when applied to designs. Create some basic logo mockups, place the name on a landing page, see how it looks in an email subject line, and design a quick business card with each name. Don't worry about colors and typography at this point. We'll address those later when we design your brand's visual identity. Right now, you should only be concerned with how the name looks and feels on its own without any distracting embellishments. You may be surprised at how some of the names that you thought were your top choices don't quite look right. Step number 7, choose. Now it's time to make your final selection, which can be a very difficult decision to make. After all, your brand's name has the potential to either make or break your business. But if you have done everything that I've suggested, you should be able to make an intuitive and an educated decision based on the names that best align with everything that your business represents. All right, guys, that is it for now. Be sure to review and complete the action guide for this module, and I will see you in the next session.